Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Ed Steer, founder of EdSteerGoldandSilver.com. He's also director of GATA, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee. He's speaking to us from Edmonton. Welcome back to the show, Ed.
Glad to be on again. Thank you very much for having me.
With the markets in such turmoil right now, you would think gold prices would be climbing. Why aren't they?
Well, it's the same reason as I've been giving now for as long as I've been on your show, and that's the fact that the interference in the precious metals markets by a small group of bullion banks and the commercial traders keeps precious metal prices under control. And we're seeing it this morning. It's Wednesday morning, and gold is down big, and silver is down big as well. And they can set the price of gold and silver wherever they want. And you'd think that with all this thing with Russia and the dollar and the stock market, that people would be flooding into gold and silver, but the boys or J.P. Morgan and the boys are making sure that doesn't happen. And until that changes, nothing changes.
How can they manipulate? Is it they just have so much cash they can buy and sell at will?
Well, they just go into the COMEX futures market. That's where the price of almost all commodities are set in the world, whether it be West Texas Intermediate crude or copper or wheat or soybeans or whatever it is. It's all set in the COMEX futures market. And they have their computers and their algorithms, and they go in there and do whatever's necessary, legal or otherwise, mostly illegal, to spoof the market and set low bids and pretend that they're actually a real force in the market. And of course, the traders just on the other side of the trade just follow along, and if their sell signals come up, then they're forced to sell. And this has been going on now for a couple of generations, but as you can tell, it's really become ferocious. And until they decide that they're going to turn off their computers and stop fooling around in the markets, we're going to see this sort of action continue. And gold is certainly on their radar right now.
Does it make any difference that Russia and China, for the last 3 years, have been buying all the gold they can lay their hands on?
Well, it's certainly a sign that they've lost faith in paper currencies in general, and the U.S. dollar in particular. I think it's certainly a sign that they expect that someday that the U.S. dollar won't be at the top of the food chain as far as paper currencies are going. And if I was any central bank in the world right now, I would be selling dollars or euros or whatever and purchasing a hard asset like gold and silver. But Western central banks certainly can't get away with that without bringing down the wrath of the Federal Reserve or the European central banks. Can you imagine the brouhaha if France or Belgium or the Netherlands said, we're going to sell our huge assets, a huge load of U.S. dollars and euros, and we're going to buy some gold because we just don't think it's worthwhile holding paper currencies? Well, that would certainly blow up the gold price right there and the Western financial system with it. Russia and China are different, of course. They're not part of the system, so they're out there aggressively buying gold, and that's what I would be doing, and I certainly wish them well.
We'll have more with Ed Steer right after the break.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineered gold mine in the Atlan District of northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE, symbol CRL, and the pink symbol CDTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Ed Steer. Ed, what do you think is going to happen with copper?
You know, I've been watching copper sort of with one eye because it's not something I follow. I noticed that it's closed below its 200-day moving average for the second day in a row. And that's only been the first time it's been below its 200-day moving average since late in 2016. Copper is another one of what I call the big six commodities that's being unduly influenced by traders that are influencing the market. Copper's one, and crude oil is the other, along with the four precious metals. And as most people know, if you control the precious metals and copper and crude oil, you can pretty well control the entire commodities complex, because those are what I call, like I said, the big six. And as far as copper goes, I think the supply and demand fundamentals certainly demand a higher price, and if there wasn't interference in the copper market, copper prices would be materially higher than they are now.
Is somebody stockpiling copper the way they might stockpile gold or silver?
You know, I don't follow the market well enough to know if somebody's stockpiling. I know that there's huge stockpiles of aluminum and copper out there, but as to whether or not that's affecting the price or whether somebody's secretly squirreling it away expecting prices to go higher, I don't know. But I can tell you right now, the day that gold and silver prices are allowed to move higher, the prices of all commodities are going to move higher. And if you want to play the commodity markets from the non-precious metal side, copper would be one of the ways you could play it.
We'll have more with Ed Steer right after this.
MGX Minerals is revolutionizing the new energy economy with patented lithium extraction technology, replacing traditional solar evaporation using low-cost, low-energy nanofiltration. The first system of this paradigm shift technology is currently being commissioned. MGX Minerals trades on the CSE, symbol XMG, the OTCQB, symbol MGXMF, and Frankfurt, symbol 1MG. For more information, visit our website, mgxminerals.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Ed Steer. Ed, I noticed the Standard & Poor's and Dow has been going up, but the NASDAQ down. Is that because of the trouble at Facebook?
Well, the FAANG stocks, as they call them, and I don't follow them that closely, but, you know, you can't help but be aware of them no matter what you trade in these days. You know, most of these tech stocks, the FAANG stocks being the poster boys, that are basically based on absolutely nothing. They have no market capitalization. They have no equity. They have nothing. They're just basically the tech stocks that, you know, when the NASDAQ crashed and burned back, 18 years ago, it was based on companies that had no earnings and no hope of earnings, and you know, all these FAANG stocks, whether they be, Facebook or Amazon or Netflix or whatever they are, and the new poster child is that Tesla, Tesla, the car making company. There's just rafts and rafts of these companies out there that have no profits and no earnings and have no hope of getting either. And this is one of the reasons why the stock market is jumping up and down, as people are jumping in and jumping out of these things. But the fact of the matter is that most of them are worth zero, and sooner or later the markets are going to reflect that. And if the plunge protection team would allow it, we would have seen the stock markets a lot lower than that by now.
How can they protect those stocks?
They go in and buy the futures market and the overnight market, so people can see that, wow, look at everything is running up in the futures markets, and so they just follow the trends. Most trading nowadays is done by computers, and these futures markets know that, and they just run it up. And of course, when the open comes, then they jump right in. it's not working as well as it used to, and someday it's not going to work at all, but that day hasn't come yet. But when that day does arrive, it will be look out below.
What do you think is going to happen with crude over the summer?
Crude, I'll tell you what, there's a market. I just sort of keep an eye on the price. The supply fundamentals, supply-demand fundamentals, I'm just not sure about. So that's a question I think you would better reserve for somebody else.
What's your take on what the cryptocurrencies are doing right now?
Cryptocurrencies were a bit of a fad. They certainly ran up a lot. Some people made a lot of money. The people that got in early, they're still worth an awful lot of money, for something that is not backed by anything. It's basically an electronic hallucination. They certainly have potential if they were backed by a physical commodity like gold, and they may have some useful value in the future. But right now, they're just another one of these things that has come along, like Facebook and Netflix, that's backed by nothing at all.
Do you think a lot of them will just disappear, like the .coms did back in 2000?
There's no question about that. That's where most of them are going to end up. And but I'm not condemning the cryptocurrencies. I think they have their place, but like you said, and I agree with you 100%, 99% of them are going to go the way of the dodo bird before this is all over.
Is there any way for a person to pick a healthy one, or are you just taking a chance, and if you diversified, maybe you might survive?
I'll tell you what, my depth of knowledge about cryptocurrencies isn't good enough to give you an answer to that, so I'll pass on it.
Ed, what do you think's the hot thing to be in right now?
I'll tell you what, if I was going to take $100 and bet on anything today, it would be in the precious metal equities, the silver equities in particular, and if not that, then physical silver, because we're set for an upside price explosion if the powers that be allow it. That will just take your breath away. And like I said, if I was giving investment advice, and I'm not an investment advisor, that's what I would be advising right now.
Should a person, if they're not sure, it's not a bad thing to just take cash out and watch?
That's the second best thing. If I was taking a bunch of money out of the market right now, if it was me, I would say, okay, fine, I'll take a bunch of cash out, but I would also put some of it in the precious metals, physical, and in the shares. But I wouldn't go all cash. I don't think that's a smart move, but it would be my second choice if I had to choose.
Ed, what's new with GATA, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee?
Well, we're basically out there spreading the word that the J.P. Morgan and a few other bullion banks and the commercial traders are rigging the precious metals markets and the financial markets and the bond markets and interest rates. They're just everywhere trying to keep this paper financial system going. And Chris Paul right now is in Singapore speaking at a conference there. I know he's going to Hong Kong. And I've spoken in Vancouver on many occasions. Bill Murphy gets around as well, and we do our radio interviews, just trying to keep up, keep everybody's spirits up, because, the boys have been certainly beating the precious metal prices into the ground. But as most people in the precious metal industry are now fully aware of the fact that the precious metals are being managed. And so we're just basically preaching to the choir now, but we're going to keep on trucking until this thing finally comes to an end.
Ed, how can people find out more about GATA?
They can just go to our website, GATA, GATA.org, and they can sign up for the free dispatches and be kept informed that way. We'd obviously be glad to have new subscribers because it costs nothing.
Ed, thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
My guest has been Ed Steer, founder of EdSteerGoldandSilver.com. He was speaking to us from Edmonton. If you have any questions for Ed or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.